And again, this is just speculating, but we know that Palantir invested in Wejo. We know that Wejo are actually implementing a sort of Skywise solution for the automotive industry. What better company to utilize this sort of product, especially in the context of self-driving, than Tesla? My name is Tom Nash, and I quit my corporate job as a senior financial analyst to break down companies for you. If there's one thing you need to know about me, I don't take bullshit from anybody. Hey, this is Tom, and I'm extremely excited about today's video. We're doing something that was never ever done before on YouTube. We have my source inside an airline, a Skywise verified user, which I personally verified as being true, answering your questions. We went over some of the comments in my previous Palantir videos where I showed you test cases and presentations that were provided to me by that airline employee. And in today's video, that person is answering your questions, your concerns, and even refuting some of the claims casting doubt that were made in my comment section. But more importantly, we actually have an insight from that person about why Palantir is actually moving into a whole new industry, which is about to absolutely take over, and it might actually indicate a future potential collaboration with a company like Tesla, for example. Yes, this is really exciting. So much to cover. Let's get started right away. So what he did in this email, first of all, is provide me a picture of him at work. He asked not to share the picture, obviously, with Skywise loaded, and the search field writing allegedly no BS, which I found kind of amusing. So let's get straight to it. Okay, let's start with the first comment. Some people mention about this, oh, this isn't anything new. This is just monitoring a sensor. It's been done for years. We had a lot of this comment. Basically, what he had to say is very interesting. Engine manufacturers have some limits set for some engine parameters, which exclusively held by them, companies such as GE, IE, etc. Now, with Skywise, basically, airlines have the power to take all of that engine data and combine it with aircraft data. Now, check this out. This gets a full holistic picture to be able to model accurate insights into potential faults, what causes them, and how to build a threshold limit to avoid these faults before they occur. This is the whole point of Foundry, being able to get a heap of data and make it usable to make an accurate decision. And since I'm not an engineer, let me simplify what he's saying here. Essentially, what he's saying is that Skywise isn't generating any new data points. In fact, it takes the existing data points, it takes them from a bunch of different siloed databases and creates one single database that allows you to make better decisions going forward. So it's actually utilizing existing data points. It's not adding any new sensors. So that kind of criticism is definitely not valid because the whole point of the system is to take existing data and make sense of it. Another great thing for airlines having the raw data is we can actually change a component and be able to confirm the correct item was changed. We may be able to see a component trending high, and there could be a few components related to this that could be causing the issue. We can now change one component that is, and instantly see if the trend has turned back to normal or if it's still elevated. This allows us to keep troubleshooting rather than previously shotgun troubleshooting, changing a part and waiting to see if the aircraft faults again. This can take some time if it's an intermittent fault, which happens only once a week or longer under certain loads of external factors. Fault confirmation is vital in aviation. Basically, what he's saying here is that now they can see immediately that they cleared the fault 100%. Check it out. So now the airline is allowed to fly unmanned ported rather than being restricted to main base ports in case the faults come back. So this is actually important because it actually shows you that Skywise and Palantir's Foundry has a lot of strength in the follow-up, not just in the identification and the preventative maintenance. In fact, what it sounds like is that this system will allow you 100% clearance to know that you fixed the issue, and you don't have to wait for the aircraft to actually fly for a while to get confirmation that it's now fixed. I think it's a huge deal, and I'd love to hear from actual engineers that work for airlines, what do they think about this claim? Now check this out. This is actually very interesting. There are 25,000 data points on a legacy aircraft like an Airbus A320. Airlines only use about 1% of that data. Most of it was covered up by and protected by the pilots union, not wanting their data shares as it could be used against them legally. Now, it sounds bad, but would you want someone installing a camera watching you drive and monitor every single accelerator and brake input in your car along with blinkers by the local police? Heck no. The same goes with pilots. I guess what he's saying here, and I agree with it, even Warren Buffett, I think, said it a few times. If you put a policeman following you around every single day, every time you get on the road, you're going to get fined a lot. There's no way you can drive like a robot. Every day on the road, we don't 100% adhere to every single rule and regulation. If you put a cop on every single person for 24 hours, you don't catch them slipping. And what the system does actually sounds very interesting. It sounds like they're taking that data and they're utilizing it without identifying it per specific aircraft to actually let the airlines take action against pilots for actually not following procedures and whatnot. So essentially using the data without screwing over the pilots, I guess. So with Foundry being able to take all of this raw sensor data, it can be now stored and the privacy maintained. Basically, who can access this along with a full history on who has looked at it at work. There are very few limited employees with this kind of access for maintenance purposes to build algorithms for faults, for example, what he's saying here. This actually gets around anyone having data and the pilots know it's in a secure place and won't be misused against them. So essentially, solve the privacy issue with actually allowing the airline to utilize the data, which is very important. Now, this is a comment directly for me. He's saying here, you also mentioned Boeing may be being used with Skywise. Now, Boeing aircrafts are not supported for Skywise, but airlines can pipe into the Foundry lineage any dataset. Now, this opens the door for raw data from Boeing aircraft to get into Foundry, and then airlines can build their own algorithms from it. That's why airlines love this, as so many carriers have mixed fleets of Boeing and Airbus and other OEMs, but they can still use the Foundry for their entire fleet. And I think that's brilliant. He's just clarifying what I said in a much better way. Obviously, this is an engineer, not a dude on the internet talking about stocks. And here another comment towards me. As for Airbus giving data out Skywise for free, it's Skywise Aircraft Health Monitoring, AHM. That's free, which is a replacement for their older system, Airman Web. They also have a predictive maintenance suite, which you can buy, and it adds on AHM, which will give you the predicted faults before they occur. Most airlines will build their own algorithms through within Skywise, as it's cheaper and you can be adventurous if you want it. You can also capture faults that are specific to your flying region that may occur while you fly, but not on the other side of the world. Airbus wants everyone to get Skywise because it dramatically increased aircraft reliability, provides huge cost savings, allows OEMs to use data to make part manufacturing improvements for less component failures, and allows aircraft to save money on fuel. The biggest selling points for Airbus to sell $300 million aircraft over Boeing's variants is better reliability, greater fuel efficiency, and less maintenance intrusive. I think that actually explains some of the points that we made about Skywise being used as a marketing tool for Airbus aircraft. But what this person just clarified here is actually very important, is that the base model is actually free, but the premium version, the one with the predictive maintenance, actually will cost you money as the airline. Just another model where you get a base model for free and you have to pay for premium. But again, great clarification. Better reliability minus less breakdowns, less AOGs, aircraft on the ground, equals huge amount of money to be saved. More importantly, better safety. If a plane crashes, your airline is screwed. So safety is the number one most important factor for every single airline. Fuel efficiency. The biggest cost to an airline is fuel. Most airlines are updating an A350s, A320s, Neos, 787s, etc. purely due to around 20% better fuel efficiency. Now, actually, if you take a look at the history, the only reason the 747 doesn't exist anymore is because of that reason. The 787 killed the 747 just on fuel efficiency alone. American Airlines in 2019 had a fuel bill of around $10 billion. Imagine saving 20% right off the bat with a new efficient fleet. $2 billion. Maintenance. Less maintenance means parts to be stocked, less part cost, less delays, less aircraft on the ground, less long-term maintenance checks, etc., etc., etc. Whenever an aircraft is on the ground, it isn't making money. Now, specifically, that actually compounds when you talk about smaller aircraft. The smaller aircraft, the A320s, the buses, they need to be in the air as much as possible. Every minute those are on the ground, the aircraft is losing a lot of money. They're not like the 747, rest in peace, the A380, and these massive aircraft. The 320s can't sit on the ground, so any AOG is a massive loss of money. Now, these three items for selling aircraft are dramatically improved if airlines are using Skywise. Hence, when Airbus uses worldwide fleet data for reliability, fuel costs, and maintenance, the figures look incredible due to the improvement made over operations using Skywise. The first time Airbus used Palantir was to increase A350 production. There are like billions of parts needing to be managed from all over the world where they're being made. They have to be in the engineer's hands on a specific day, as it is a jigsaw puzzle to build the aircraft. The fact Foundry made Airbus increase its production by 30% is mind-blowing. Couldn't agree more. That is insane. And here's a comment you absolutely have to listen to. Also, the investment in Wejo, a company taking automotive sensor data and creating insights on faults, etc., this is exactly like Skywise for airlines. Palantir is going all out on the success of Skywise and bringing it to the automotive industry through Wejo. I always thought of self-driving cars that one of the most important aspects will be knowing of an impending fault, a tire with low pressure because it's just ran over a nail. Being able to alert the car for it to stop driving to avoid a flat and safely concern the passenger. I think that Wejo can capture a big market share. If that happens, this would be a perfect fit for Foundry to manage the dataset. And again, this is just speculating, but we know that Palantir invested in Wejo. We know that Wejo are actually implementing a sort of Skywise solution for the automotive industry. What better company to utilize this sort of product, especially in the context of self-driving, than Tesla? I can't think of a better company, a better suited company, a better company that actually can utilize all of these products and services and data than Tesla. For me, that's kind of a no-brainer. But again, we have no idea if that's ever going to happen. But this kind of deal can make a lot of sense for both companies. And again, I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed it, don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, don't subscribe to nothing, don't buy nothing. Just share the video with friends that might think this is interesting. Thank you for the channel members. Thank you for the patrons. We'll see you guys in the next video.